Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy my stories. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you never miss out. Now on with the stories.
I had been meaning to post about this for a while now, but I had to make sure everything was in the clear before I did. One of the people involved needed to give me the green light, and honestly, I wasn't about to risk creating a bigger mess by jumping the gun. It's not just about respecting their wishes, but also about keeping myself out of trouble. Let's just say, I'd like to avoid any awkward confrontations, or worse, waking up one day to find some part of me preserved in a jar as someone's twisted souvenir. So after a bit of back and forth, I finally got the all clear, which means I can share the story while keeping things as anonymous as possible. Of course, I realize that someone might still put the pieces together, but at least this way I can rest easy knowing I did my part to keep it under wraps. A very close friend of mine went through something deeply traumatic not all that long ago. Certainly not long enough for it to feel like a distant memory. Because of what happened, she's understandably uneasy being around men, with just two exceptions, her father and me. I only managed to make that short list because she stayed at my place while she went through rehab. Even then, it was clear how much she needed to feel secure. She wouldn't even try to sleep unless there was a locked door between us. It was never about me personally. It was about creating an environment where she felt safe enough to rest. There was one exception, though. This one time, she conked out in the middle of a Lifetime Channel marathon after eating an absurd amount of ice cream. I suppose that moment technically counts as a breakthrough, but I'm pretty sure the sugar crash played a bigger role than I did. When she moved out, she found herself a charming little townhouse just a short distance away. It suited her perfectly, quiet, low-key, and tucked away in a community that was almost eerily peaceful. While the place wasn't officially labeled as a 55-plus community, you'd have to do some serious searching to spot anyone under 40 living there full-time. She didn't mind, though. In fact, she preferred it that way. She was happy to keep to herself, spending most of her time indoors and enjoying her own company. For a while, everything seemed to work out perfectly. But that sense of calm didn't last forever. It all came crashing down when she had an unfortunate run-in with the landscaping crew the HOA had hired to maintain the backyards. What started as a routine day for them turned into a situation she absolutely hadn't been prepared for. The way she tells it, it was a nice spring day, and she wanted to open her windows and get some fresh air. The landscapers were mowing, and when she opened her window she was met with the sight of one of the guys relieving himself in a bush. Rather than do the normal thing and put himself away and flee, he opted to make eye contact and grin and make it as awkward as possible, hand gestures included, which was all of the nope. Even if you were comfortable around men, that's not okay in any way, shape, or form. Once her anxiety attack subsided, she mustered up the courage to call the landscaping company and file a complaint. She wasn't looking for a confrontation, just a resolution, something to ensure what had happened wouldn't happen again. The person who picked up the phone assured her it would be taken care of, though they didn't elaborate on what that actually meant. She hung up feeling cautiously optimistic, hoping the situation was behind her. But how did they handle it, you might ask? Well, not in any way that made sense. The very next week when the landscapers returned, she braced herself trying to stay calm. At first, things seemed normal enough, until there was a knock on her door. When she opened it, standing there was the same guy who had caused all the trouble in the first place. And this time, instead of urinating in her bushes, he had the audacity to ask if he could use her bathroom. His reasoning, according to him, he couldn't go outside anymore because some little witch had complained. Except, of course, he didn't use the word witch. He stood there, looking irritated and unapologetic, as if was the one inconveniencing. She didn't give him a chance to say anything more. She slammed the door in his face, heart pounding, and immediately spiraled into another massive anxiety attack. Whatever shred of control she'd managed to regain after the last incident evaporated entirely. It was clear to her that the company hadn't taken her complaint seriously at all, and now things felt even worse than before. We went through the CC&Rs about the services provided and found that she couldn't opt out of for the landscapers. Nowhere did it say she to use that service, so she requested that they not enter her patch of yard. I'd drive over with my push mower every Saturday and do my best to match the pattern the landscapers left just to keep things tidy. Not long after that debacle, she started receiving fines from the HOA. At first, she thought it must have been some kind of mistake. But no, the notices were very clear. Her grass was too long. She was baffled. Her lawn didn't look overgrown, and she'd always thought it was being kept within reasonable limits. So, out of curiosity and a bit of frustration, she grabbed a tape measure and checked for herself. That's when she discovered the absurdity of the situation. Apparently her grass was measuring 3.2 inches tall. The HOA's limit, a strict 3 inches. That tiny fraction of an inch was enough to land her in hot water. Did you know it's perfectly legal for an HOA to fine you for something as nitpicky as grass being 0.2 inches taller than their arbitrary standard? Because she sure didn't, and now, thanks to this ridiculous enforcement, she was learning the hard way. It wasn't just the fines that got under her skin, it was the principle of it. She couldn't help but wonder who was out there scrutinizing her lawn with such precision. Were they measuring with rulers? Did they have some sort of specialized grass height inspector on staff? The whole thing felt petty and invasive, but the fines kept coming, leaving her more stressed and frustrated by the day. That kinda made me mad, but if we're being petty, let's do this. Rather than the infinitely more convenient Saturday afternoon, I showed up maybe half an hour after the landscapers got done with the complex and did the same thing on a lunch break at work. Fines still kept coming in. So we got creative. She went online and bought a robot lawnmower. Thing can handle a tiny yard like hers in maybe an hour. It's an electric mower, so it's whisper quiet, and we programmed it to run every night and cut the grass to 2.5 inches. Checked the rules again, and nowhere did it say you couldn't install a doghouse-looking charging station for the mower. She named it Rover and gave him some googly eyes and frowny glitter eyebrows. Not being stupid, we also set up a motion-activated camera that was inside of her townhome that could see Rover's house. About a week after Rover completed his first mow, he ran away from home. When we checked the footage, we saw a man approach much too late at night and just Rover. Didn't get a good look at his face, but he definitely looked familiar to my friend. When I checked the complex's dumpster, I found some plastic shards that were the same color as Rover's cover. Their complex has a camera pointed at the dumpster, and it might have gotten a look at whoever had stolen the mower. She emailed the HOA asking for the footage on the night of the crime and heard absolutely nothing back. It's like that, huh? A few years back, I found myself in a bit of legal trouble, and my boss put me in contact with a friend of his. She's a corporate lawyer and has told me verbatim she hates what she does for a living, but she very much enjoys the money. So to keep whatever tatters of her soul remained, she occasionally took personal cases as a side gig. She is very good at what she does. She also told me flat out, if you're guilty, find someone else. Because if I find out you lied to me in a meaningful way, you'll wish you were someone's itch in prison. When I asked what meaningful meant, she just glared and said, "Do not test me." I am terrified of this woman. So I gave her a call. She made room for us on her schedule to talk about what had been happening and why thermonuclear escalation was necessary. I'm not going to lie. During the consult, I wasn't paying attention. Lawyer lady had a Newton cradle on her desk. She let me play with it while the grown-ups talked. Once the consult was over, I asked how it went, and friend just looked at me and said, "She said she would be delighted to handle this. I have never been so scared of someone saying they're happy. How did you just happen to have a human shark on speed dial? That woman is terrifying." I just grinned. I know, right? The legal stuff took some time to percolate, and my knowledge of law and lawsuits is limited. I won't bother trying to butcher exactly what she did, but from what I understand, she sued both the board and the landscaping company. She asked for an unreasonable amount of money and based the amount on any sort of claim she felt was vaguely applicable. Hit the pause button on any new fines coming in somehow, and demanded a bunch of things from the HOA using fancy lawyer methods that seem much more effective than asking nicely. Stuff like financial records, that footage from the night Rover got murdered, emails, text messages, the works. A few months after everything kicked off, we had a meeting with the HOA board, the owner of the landscaping company, and legal representatives for everyone. Evidently, step one of a lawsuit is for everyone to sit down and figure out if they need a referee or if everyone can just talk it out. I wasn't representing anyone. I was there as an emotional support human for my friend. I wasn't going to miss this. Still a little upset I didn't bring a snack for the show. On our side of the table, myself, my friend, and our lawyer. On the other side, 3 grumpy old men, 2 grumpy old women, 2 lawyers, and a slightly less old but very grumpy man who owns the landscaping company. 4 of the board members seemed grumpy and confused. The last board member and the landscaping guy just looked grumpy, and both lawyers looked like they wanted to be literally anywhere else. By the end of this meeting, the board will need to elect a new treasurer. and ensure that treasurer follows the HOA board's mandated bidding process when procuring the services of a new landscaping company. The soon-to-be ex-treasurer will provide some compensation to my client for emotional distress and lost property. The soon-to-be ex-landscaping company, which is owned by the soon-to-be ex-treasurer's brother-in-law, will ensure his son does not set foot within a mile of my client again, and will also be compensating me for the legal expenses related to this case. And then she smiled. Or, we can go to trial. I saw that smile, and thought to myself, fish are friends, not food. It wasn't even aimed at me, and I still got goosebumps. We did not go to trial. As far as I was able to tell, the other 4 board members had no idea about the sexual harassment complaint or the retaliation. They also had no idea they were paying almost double the rate of a comparable landscaping service. The predatory landscaper was actually the owner's son, hence why he was confident enough to act the way he did. We also had clear footage of him smashing Rover and tossing him in the dumpster. They did talk about criminal charges for Junior for his behavior, but my friend just wanted all of it to go away. Just thinking about the process sent her into anxiety land. Wasn't my call, and I respect her choice in the matter. They folded pretty quickly. My lawyer didn't want to take it before a judge, because then the legal expenses would have been paid by the HOA, and everyone's broke these days. The notion of losing never even crossed her mind. She was quite content sticking it to the people who actually deserved it, and I've made a point of never trying to argue with my lawyer. I'll just lose. My friend has since packed up and moved out of that townhouse, settling into a new undisclosed location. It's a fresh start for her, and one she desperately needed after everything that happened. With her gone, I finally feel like I can share the story without worrying about any blowback. She's in a safer, more private place now, and that makes all the difference. That said, there's still a limit to what I can reveal. For instance, I can't share a picture of her beloved dog Rover. She's become almost hyper-aware of just how much people can dig up online. Blame it on her stumbling across Rainbolt on YouTube, the guy who can pinpoint exact locations from the most random details in a photo. The idea that someone could recognize her lawn or even her dog from a stray picture has her completely spooked. And honestly, I don't blame her. After everything she's been through, a little paranoia feels entirely justified. Good job to all involved. Good for you and your father for being such support for your friend through all this. Also, you're a good storyteller. We've had some inconveniences as homeowners in an H, but what we did notice is that the whole neighborhood is less likely to band against you if an effort has been made to make friends. Kill them with smiles has been working so far for some issues. But yes, we're not above hiring counsel either, and actually already had to do so once to keep our neighbor from trying to build a fence across our easement. Having a lawyer point out that it's not allowed was much more effective than us doing it though, especially with those smiles on our faces. Moral here, sometimes you gotta get tough. Thumbs up. First, I really feel for your friend and truly hope she has found a safe place where she can get on with her life. Second, this is one of the very few postings to Reddit where I have read not only your post but every single comment that's been provided, and it has been a real joy and very entertaining. You have a fantastic storytelling style that is both informative and engaging. I can literally see Rover mowing her lawn in my head, and you are to be applauded for a most excellent submission. Third, your lawyer friend is a true keeper, and I do not blame you one iota for not wanting to share her contact info, besides the fact that doing so would likely put you on her shark side. I've met a couple of these types in my life career, one attorney, one CEO, and both caused disturbed sleep patterns for a couple of weeks. If there's anybody in this I might feel a little sorry for, it's the 4 other board members, but not very. That's actually a great example of how most HOA boards work. Several members of the board serve in name only, while only the president and the treasurer really know what's going on and make all the decisions. Anyway, thanks for a very entertaining tale told in a masterful manner. Really enjoyed it.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.